Guys, Bitcoin is now downwards about 12% on this correction. And if you've looked at your altcoin portfolio over the last couple of days, you'll notice you're down significantly. I'm going to be giving Bitcoin a health check. How is Bitcoin doing? Is it healthy? Is this correction good? How low can we go? And how low is too low? There are a lot of similarities on Bitcoin between now and the 2017 bull market. I'll be discussing those similarities and projecting what we might see in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it.
Guys, before we get into the content, I just want to show you one thing very quickly here. We have a VIP group on Telegram where we trade altcoins at a 78% win rate, which is pretty bloody exceptional. And we also have a group chat that comes with that membership. Now, that membership is on sale right now, and it's on sale for just 24 hours. So we literally have 24 hours here. If you're interested in the VIP group chat, interested in altcoin trading signals, getting into a discussion group, joining that community, you have literally less than a day left. This is your last chance to do it, so do it now. Without further ado, we'll get into the content here. I want to start by discussing this correction, what we've been seeing on Bitcoin. I want to do it quickly because a lot of people are, I think, over-exaggerating, or not over-exaggerating, but overemphasizing, just how much there is to discuss here. I don't think there's really that much. What we need to look at really is just what Bitcoin's been doing. It's broke all-time highs. The all-time high on Bitcoin, or the prior all-time high on Bitcoin, is actually this red line on the screen here, which actually lines up with the POC, the point of control, on the visible range volume profile, which means that is the highest area of volume in this entire chart that you see on the screen right now. So it's the highest area of volume in basically the last 3 weeks. And it makes sense for that to be the prior all-time high. But unfortunately now, Bitcoin has entered a little bit of a short-term downwards trend. It's actually come upwards, formed a top formation, pretty bearish top formation, and come downwards, and it's broken below this visible range volume profile POC. It's broken below the prior all-time high. It's come upwards, it's rejected from the rough region, and it's gone downwards again with a lower low and lower high forming. So Bitcoin is now actually in a downwards trend on the shorter-term charts. Obviously, if you zoom out, and you go to something like perhaps, the 4-hourly chart, you see this is very clearly still an upwards trend. There very clearly is no lower low yet. These are still higher lows. I mean, you can see higher lows every single time. And unless we break something like 58.5K, we're really still pretty much in an uptrend here. But on a short-term chart, yes, we have actually entered a downwards trend, and that means we're in a corrective move for Bitcoin. And it's the first proper sign of weakness that we've seen on Bitcoin for quite a while, really. I mean, we had weakness over here in January this year, of course, because we went downwards from 49K to 38.5K. But since then, it's basically been pretty much a pattern of going upwards, consolidating, going upwards again, consolidating, going upwards again, consolidating, going upwards again. We haven't actually seen any proper correction. So this really is the first correction we've seen since 38.5K was retested, and we've had a basically 91% move without correction. So the fact that people can be, flipping bearish right now is ridiculous in my opinion. I don't think this is a region to be flipping macro bearish in at all. I think that's ridiculous. I think it's a very, very healthy correction that's very, very long overdue. You have to remember, guys, Bitcoin, if you zoom out just for like 2 seconds, just zoom out and look at the chart, right? We have not seen any real bearish price action on Bitcoin for basically an entire year. I mean, if you're disregarding this brief correction we saw in January, which we called, by the way, if you're disregarding that, you see that everything we've seen throughout March 2023 to now has been consolidation and then move upwards, consolidation, move upwards. There's been no correction. The last correction Bitcoin saw on a macro scale was really back here in February 2023, where we broke this low right here and went downwards a little bit lower, and it was very short-lived. Bitcoin's been on a rampage, and I think people aren't used to corrections right now, and perhaps people are getting a little bit jittery right now, but the reality is that this is nothing. This is completely normal. Where could Bitcoin go on this correction? There's a few support zones Bitcoin could go to. For example, let's actually go to a daily chart here and just analyze it properly for you. We'll use the volume profile as a means of analysis, because this is the best way I like to analyze moves, especially if they have a chance to develop onto a medium-term scale. The next major support zones on Bitcoin really start at around 60K. Okay, and then we have support here at 58.5K, 57.5K, around that price region. We then have macro support down here in that kind of 53K region, and then down here in 49K, 48K region. Now, what I will say to you is this very clearly. If we're looking at what that 48K region is, it's actually the neckline of a major cup formation. So this is the 48K line that we just discussed. It's the neckline of a major cup formation. Now that cup formation, if we take a measured move from that cup formation, right, from the base of the cup to the neckline and apply it to the breakout point, that measured move actually says that Bitcoin will be targeting around 80K as the next major macro resistance. We have not reached 80K yet, obviously, but at the same time, measured moves aren't exactly the most reliable form of analysis, but it is interesting to look at. But the main reason why I care about this cup formation is because when we have a formation like this is a breakout until we break back below the neckline. So what I will say to you is this. Right now we have a situation on Bitcoin where we have actual structured macro support zones at 57.5K, okay, 53K and 49K. 49K was also the major dividing line between bull market and bear market. Okay, I will say to you right now, it's also the cup neckline. I will say to you right now, here and now, that if Bitcoin breaks back below 49K, there is no reason to believe that this is still a bull market. If Bitcoin breaks back below 49K, we have very well decisively entered a bear market. And we will be entering a macro downwards trend. Until Bitcoin breaks below 49K, there is no reason to believe that this correction is anything of substance. Now, ideally, we don't go all the way down to 49K to find that out. I think that would be a bit extreme. For example, that would be a correction that would be 34%. But if you're looking back in previous cycles, 34% corrections aren't exactly ridiculous. I mean, just back here in 2021, January, during the first move of the bull market, we saw a correction that went 31%. You know, if you go backwards to prior cycles, you go backwards to something, this is a bad chart to look at because I'm on the Binance chart, but if I could go backwards to, for example, something like 2017, you see corrections of large sizes, 42%, 40% every single time, every single move upwards, 39%. Now, obviously, that was way back in the day when Bitcoin was a little bit smaller in market cap. I understand that. But as I just showed you, even back here in 2021, 31% correction right here in the first leg upwards of the bull market. If we're looking at something more equivalent to the price point we're at right now, we had a correction in April 2021 that went downwards 56%. We somehow continued to be upside. And then you look at, you know, what we did on the way back upwards again in September 2021, we had a correction that went 24%. You know, it's not unusual at all to see corrections stemming from anywhere from like 20% to 30%. These are very regular bull market corrections. I think right now what's actually happening is that we're in a pretty privileged position here. And I say that because we haven't seen any downside price action at all for like over a year. So whenever someone sees, oh, Bitcoin's moved downwards 12%, they just panic and freak out. It's really not that much of a big deal yet. I think, as I said, this correction, it could actually even be over considering the circumstances with ETFs. But even if it's not, even if we go downwards to 60K, 57.5K, 53K, these are all normal, healthy levels. Once we start breaking 53, that's when you start to get worried because we know that 49 is really the last line of support for this to be considered a healthy correction or not. But I think anything really above 53 is just perfectly healthy, nothing to worry about really at all from a macro perspective, especially considering a few things, right? We have to remember, guys, that, you know, Bitcoin generally, you know, it doesn't even start a bull market until the halving generally. This is what you really need to understand, right? Bitcoin, you know, historically, when was the halving in 2016? It was like July 2016. The halving in 2020 was, I believe, May 2020. Okay, the halving this year hasn't even happened yet. It's happening next month. You know, so look at what Bitcoin's done historically. You even look at 2012, right? The halving, I think, was back here in, I can't remember exactly. I think it was early 2012, maybe April. The point is, the bull market, historically, only has ever really started after the halving. This time is a bit of a deviation. We're actually having a bit of a deviation this cycle. Not only has the bull market only started after the halving in previous cycles, it's actually taken a few months after the halving to really kick off, right? 2012 took a few months to really kick off. 2016, we actually went downwards at the halving and then went upwards. Same thing in 2020, sideways for a long period of time and then upwards. So, you know, this is very early days here. We've moved upwards earlier than expected, and perhaps it is completely reasonable for us to be lagging. You know, I would say very confidently that Bitcoin could go sideways for 2 months, and I'd be perfectly fine with that because it's just so normal and healthy to see in a bull market. People get overly conditioned, I think, to the price going upwards. They just expect it constantly when it's not actually the case. You look at 2016, 2017, which is what we're most, by the way, right? We, in this cycle right now, are probably more similar to 2016, 2017 than we are to 2019, 2020, okay? This cycle here is probably less similar to what we're seeing now than this cycle here. And if you look at the cycle we're seeing the most similarities to, which is this cycle back here, right? And I say that for a reason. I say that because we saw rounding bottom, consolidation, and then leg to the upside, correction, leg to the upside, correction, leg to the upside, correction, leg to the upside, correction. It's just like climbing a staircase, right? 2-step up, 1 step down, 2-step up, 1 step down, a very abnormal staircase, but that's what it is. And that, in my opinion, is way more similar to what we saw, what we're seeing now than it is to 2020. And, in this cycle, which is we're seeing the most similarities towards, you do see these, corrections that last, 1 or 2 months and go downwards, 20 or 30%, but it doesn't damage the overall structure, right? What damages the overall structure is breaking macro support levels. And what you'll notice in this cycle right here is that although we saw consistent, massive corrections, again, 40% there, another one here, 34%, consistent, really big corrections, very frequently, right? The upwards price action outmatched the corrections, and the second major thing to consider is that we never broke a macro support. Every single support zone that was built, right? We built support there, support there. We never broken them. Only, the bear market only begun when we built a support zone, and then we actually broke below it, flipped it, and then went downwards again. So as long as we're not breaking, macro support levels, it's really not an issue. And right now, where is the nearest macro support? Well, it's pretty much at 57.5k, right? It's pretty much at 53k, and then there's pretty much one at 49k. I would never consider breaking one singular macro support level the start of a bear market, especially in these circumstances. But we haven't even broken one yet. Right? This is why I'm saying 49k or below is bear market territory. But realistically, we've got macro support starting from 57.5k. So there's really no reason to be concerned at 66k. I mean, yeah, I can understand why people would start to maybe get worried if we started breaking 53, maybe even 57.5. I can understand why people would get concerned. I personally wouldn't be, due to where we are in the market cycle right now, pre-halving, and we haven't even seen a altcoin season yet. We haven't even seen Bitcoin dominance go down yet. There's many, many more factors to just macro support levels. But the fact that we haven't even broken a macro support level is really indicative of the true reality that Bitcoin is very healthy right now. It's in early days. This correction is nothing to be concerned about as of yet. Neckline of this cup formation. Again, where is it? It's at 49k. Where are we right now? We're at 66k. We've got so much room between where we are right now and where it would be very dangerous to be. I understand that altcoins are getting wrecked. That's what happens, guys. Right? Yeah, like my altcoin bags are down huge in the last couple of days, right? We've had a correction on Bitcoin, 12%. Many altcoins are down 20%, 25% right now, right? That's just completely normal. If you have high performing altcoins that go upwards very fast, they're going to go down just as fast because they don't have time to build support. That's why I never really consider it a good idea to have your entire net worth in altcoins in a bull market, because it's just not a stable option, right? Obviously, you're going to be more exposed than usual because you want to reap the profits, but it is a very, very fragile market. Altcoin seasons, people say Bitcoin's a bubble. That's ridiculous. It's not. But altcoin seasons, what altcoins do in a bull market, that's very much a bubble. So you have to be very careful about that, because altcoins can drop downwards as quickly as they go upwards. So very much need to be aware of that, but you also need to remain objective and remove the emotion out of it and understand where we are on a macro scale. And right now, I would say we're not in a dangerous position. Now, you have indicators like CBBI, for example, historical indicators that have kind of, always suggested where the top would be. For example, CBBI is literally just a number that is built upwards by using various things like pi cycle top indicator, 2-year moving average, reserve risk, all these kind of things to predict when the top will be. When it reaches 100, it basically means that this indicator is confident the Bitcoin bull market top is in. Right now we're at 79, which a lot of people are looking at with fear because they're thinking, 79 is very close to 100. Well, I want to remind you guys that we were at 79 here in April 2013, and it took basically another 6 months for us to top out. We were at 79 here in August 2017. It took basically another 4 months to top out. We were at 79 here, okay, all the way backwards in December 2020, and it took another 11 months to top out. And by the way, the CBBI didn't actually mark the true top in 2021 either. So, you have to remember with these kind of indicators, with these kind of broad, look at this number, it says it's close to 100, therefore the top is in. They're very broad. It's very circumstantial. There's a lot of context involved. And just because we're at 79 now, that doesn't mean we're going to be at 100 next month, okay? Because it could just be like 2021 where we reached 79 and then it took another 11 months to reach 100, right? There's a lot of factors involved. And also, you have to remember as well that after each cycle, they changed their formulas. They changed the formula to make the charts look better, look more appealing. And they, at the time, I remember specifically in 2017, the CBBI wasn't at 100. That wasn't 100 in 2017. They went backward and they changed the way it was measured and calculated. They removed some of these indicators and added more weight to others to make it 100 in hindsight, right? So these indicators are not reliable in present. They are just indicators that you can use on a recreational, observational basis. You shouldn't be really relying on them. They're just kind of supporting evidence, really. And yeah, I don't know really what else for us to discuss. Perhaps I'll discuss the RSI. We have to remember as well that, Bitcoin is open to correction here, as I've said 15 times in this video, because of the sheer quantity of price action we've seen to the upside in such a short period of time. We've never seen it before, right? In previous cycles, we had these RSI support lines on the weekly chart, okay? And these RSI support lines on the weekly chart formed at the bear market bottom, okay? And they kind of held for support throughout the run-up pre-halving, and then they broke, right, before the halving. And then we entered a bull market after the halving, right? So you can see that these support lines bouncing, pre-halving, it broke to the downside. We saw a massive correction here, and then we started the bull market. Bouncing, pre-halving, we had a massive correction, and then we started the bull market. We didn't break below this line this time. We never saw the break below it, because Bitcoin has been so inflated by external factors such as ETFs and all the bullish narratives going on, that it never saw a typical correction. It never broke below this weekly support line. It's still above that weekly support line. Another thing is the line that we see in every cycle that forms that kind of divides the bull market from the bear market. Okay, it's a line actually on the monthly chart. I've discussed it many times on this YouTube channel. It's kind of like the dead cat bounce support line, or resistance line, I should say. Right, it's formed right there. It's formed right here in 2019. It's formed right here at 49K in this cycle. What you'll notice is that in the previous two cycles, we rejected from that line in pre-halving correction, and after the halving, we got above it. Same thing here, rejected from line in pre-halving correction. After the halving, we got above it, we formed a bull market. We never rejected from the line this cycle. We tested it for resistance, so we know it was there. We know it was a present line. We know the trend was still active at that point in time, but the bullish momentum was too strong, so we pushed to the upside, right? Bitcoin is inflated quite massively right now. That doesn't mean it needs to drop, but it just means that if we do drop, we have room to move. So guys, I hope I didn't drag this video out. I kind of talked about the same thing the entire time and just looked at it from different angles, but I think you would have found it useful, perhaps a little bit too long, could have cut it a bit shorter, but what's done is done. So I appreciate you guys watching the video. Again, just go to the Telegram link. VIP sales got 24 hours remaining. If you want altcoin trading signals, you can do it there. You've also got the Bing X and BitGet exchanges, guys. Very low in trading fees. Never been hacked before. I handpicked these exchanges. They did not reach out to me. I reached out to them for partnership. And you can get 15% trading fee discounts with my referral links down below. And then we also have the Crypto Academy, which is also having a bull market sale right now. If you want to learn how to trade, you can do it on the Crypto Academy. It's like a university-style course. It teaches you how to trade. PowerPoints, videos, worksheets, all these things are useful. They target different types of learners, so check it out down below. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers.